Why are you here? You're here to outwork. You're here to outtrain. You're here to win.
Here with Matt Kolodzik after a really strong run at Nationals this year in Cleveland. Matt, I haven't talked to you since just before Easterns. Thanks for taking the time to weigh in with me.
Yeah, no problem.
Last time we talked, I think it was after, was it the Cornell match? You were just talking about just win, baby. Who cares what happens during the season? Switch went on in your brain, and you went on a pretty solid roll at Easterns. Can you, having been through it, have you looked back to see exactly what the change was in your mentality?
See, that's the thing. It doesn't feel like much of a change. Honestly, I think the big factor there was stress.
Yeah.
Stress from school, stress from just the season ongoing. And the good thing is that like I had felt that last year, especially with my shoulder injury. I was taking a heavy course load last spring, and I had a shoulder injury, and so I was just bogged down. And so that was really good training for when this year came around. I literally just said, screw it, I'm going to worry about winning a national title. And then that's what I worried about. So I had a math midterm the day before NCAAs that I took in my hotel room. Didn't study at all for it. So it was one of those things where I got the grade back, and I actually didn't do too bad on it, thank God. But it was one of those things where I just kind of pushed everything else out of my mind and said, this is what I'm here for, and I'm going to wrestle, and then we'll deal with the other things as they come along later.
Tough academic load, and just talking about taking a test in your hotel room. So there's not much accommodation being made being a high-level athlete. Like, there's no delaying exams. They just come, and you have to deal with them during the season.
Yeah, and that's part of – I mean, if somebody – the way that I see it, if somebody were to come and join the wrestling program and then like the day before NCAAs be like, hey man, I got this really big paper to write even though I'm competing, like I'd be like, what the heck are you talking about? And that's kind of how our professors view it here. Like, you're here to do school, and I understand that. That's what I signed up for.
Yep.
And so at the end of the day, you roll with the punches and just get to the grind.
Well, I can't remember. Refresh your major?
Mechanical and aerospace engineering.
Aerospace engineering. So, I mean, it's a pretty easy major at a community college. I got it. Doesn't take a lot of time. No, but you did sign up for that. And so has that been one of the harder transitions, being able to separate the outside stress from the wrestling? Because when you were younger, it probably wasn't the same way.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I have this proclivity to just like stress about everything. There are a couple kids on our team like that. Where you stress about everything, and that's kind of your base mode. Yeah. But there comes a certain point where that's just not healthy. And so really finding that balance between, I've been blessed really with a couple of fantastic influences. My roommate, he's a swimmer here. He makes sure he's in bed by 10:30 every night. And that's it. I mean, sleep's the big thing, right? Yeah. So anybody who's a student athlete who's watching this, like, you are not the guy that can burn the candle at both ends. Nobody is that guy.
Right.
So just make sure you get sleep. That's probably been the biggest thing for me. I got so obsessed about it that I actually bought myself a little heart rate monitor that I wear to track my sleep. So I'm pretty obsessive about it.
It's funny. I just wrote a story about this. You want to take your wrestling to the next level, get more sleep, and exactly. It got me more nasty emails than maybe anything I've written in a while.
Really?
Really.
That's insane.
Right. It's really funny because especially at the youth level, parents aren't aware that their kids they're not coachable because they're not fresh. They're not learning because they're not getting enough rest. And sleep is the number one recovery, even through college, through senior level.
Exactly.
Anyway, I'm glad to hear it. Keep preaching.
That's so funny because like it's almost the same as the knee-jerk reaction from the wrestling community when we started cracking down on weight cutting and certifying our weights in the early season. Everybody's like, "This is BS. Like, we don't want to do this. This is wrestling. Everybody's tough." And then it turns out 2 or 3 years down the line, hey, when you don't starve yourself, turns out you wrestle better.
Right.
And now everybody's okay with it.
Right. There's like that. weight cutting, I can see there's an edge. There's a point of diminishing returns, but sleep is there. I don't know if there's a point. It's like a drop off. I don't.
Right.
It's really. Anyway, thanks for pushing that.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. It's great, to hang around with people that have like mindsets because it just makes you all the better and reinforces everything. So you're going into Easterns. You're the 1 seed. You look at the bracket. How do you approach that?
Nah, I don't even. So it's funny. So Reese Humphrey's here now, right?
Yep.
And he brought Garrett to work out. I think the other day. I think they were just rolling around wrestling. And I walked into the room and I said, "Hey man, what's your name?" And he goes, "Oh, Nashon." I was like, "Oh, right." This is like same thing with my brackets. I do not know who is who, even if they're in line for weigh-ins with me. It's really an advantage in my opinion. No need to psych myself out. I let my coaches worry about the technique, things that I need to watch out for, and then just go out there and wrestle.
So are they giving you any pointers at Easterns, or is that all saved that's for the national level? Like pointers of someone's style or,
Yeah. I mean, there's always that thing. Usually the 3 big things is like, which way does he rotate? What's his main shot? How's he riding on top? And then other than that, maybe like, does he got anything tricky?
Yeah.
Like a throw or something like that. And then that's about it.
Now, the one thing that I noticed during the season, it seemed like you were getting more explosive on your attacks to hips. Did anything change during your training, or is it just you did? Go ahead.
Yeah, it did. I started learning how to get in. So, like, before it was always get a lefty high C.
Yeah.
And I started figuring out how to pull my hips in, do like a little knee walk after I'm on the mat. So yeah, I could be down on the mat. But then instead of trying to make up ground by like extending my arms and letting my head go down, now I'm knee walking my feet in. And that just brings my chest straight up. And, if you're under the guy's hip, he just pops straight up in the air.
Right.
I think I had 3 or 4 over Easterns and NCAAs. There were at least 3 or 4 times where I literally just picked a guy up straight off the ground. And it's weird because you're like, oh, well, now what?
Now that I'm in the most dominant position I could possibly be in, right? I mean, because when you get someone up like that, I noticed that you had more. It seemed like you had more guys off the ground than anybody else I saw this year at the end of the season, like constantly.
Yeah, I felt like it too.
Yeah, and that wasn't just power; that was just technique as well, getting your hips underneath you.
It's a huge. Pat Darcy asked when I first playing around with it. He was like, "Really, just like inching your knees forward is doing that much?" And he was really skeptical. And I was like, "Dude, it's crazy. Honestly, like you got to try it."
So I do the knee pound drill. You're just walking both knees in?
Yeah, almost like you ever do that drill where, like at the beginning, where you're jogging in circles. You have a guy get down on their knees and they run on their knees.
Yep.
I know that Buxton used to do that drill when I go to his practices,
Yep.
but it's exactly that. You're just running on your knees. And I noticed that Burroughs does it. Except Burroughs will put his head in the middle of the guy's chest, and then he'll start knee running, and the guy presses in even further, and that's when he slides his head over, and the guy goes into his shoulder, and he picks him straight up.
Boom. Well, that's it. I will say that you just took one of my points because your shot looks as explosive as his used to look like when I saw him wrestle a lot more often on those double legs. It was just complete domination. So you win Easterns. I mean, what do you think about it? Like, do you enjoy it, or is it just like it's a step in the process?
Well, it was nice to know that, like, I won Easterns, and that was good, and it was like, okay, great. Like, I got this win under my belt. I was feeling really good. I was feeling really confident. And then there was this thought in the back of my head, like, okay, bud, this isn't the Big Ten. Get ready to, because there are guys who are ready. And so my mentality going into NCAAs was confidence, a lot of confidence, but also a lot of something to prove.
So you come in, you're seeded 11, right? Yeah, 11.
So I was told after my quarters match.
So you didn't even look at the brackets. I'm just about.
Oh, no.
Not at all. I
just let my coaches worry about it. My dad texted me when seeds came out and said I had a good seed, but I was like, Dad, I'm not going to worry about it.
Zip it.
Yeah.
Got it. So have you ever wrestled a guy from Clarion before?
I don't think so.
No. And then you had Oliver from Central Michigan.
Yeah.
Have you wrestled him before?
Yeah, he beat me at was it semis or quarters at Midlands?
Midlands. Okay.
Yeah,
Turn
that was
around. Close match. 3-2.
yeah.
I didn't see the match. It was on the computer and it froze and I couldn't get back to it. Tell me, I mean, it's a tight match, so he's already beaten you earlier in the year. How are you approaching it and how are you dealing with it during the match?
That match was pretty much all me. I mean, I could tell that like we went out on the mat and I could tell that he was just tired. He was like it had been a long season from him. And I think the way it went was just like I got a takedown, he got an escape, and I got an escape. And then yeah, he went down third period maybe, and he got an escape. Usually that's how it goes if it's 3-2. I couldn't tell you exactly. But at any rate, I didn't feel out of control that match at all. That was a pretty. Now I wish I could have scored more points, obviously, but I could definitely tell he was trying to hang on to a win, and so I just did my stuff.
And so that's a 1-point match. Then you knock off Leith from Missouri, another 1-point match. Do you wrestle mentally any differently in such a tight match?
Yeah, I do. I mean, Coach always tells me, he's like, dude, what's the deal? You're beating the crap out of our kids in the room, and like then you go out there and you're winning by 1 or 2 points. That's been a really big struggle for me. I think that's kind of the theme of my wrestling so far. Is I know I can win, and so I just win, but I don't want to just win, right? You want to be the guy that goes out there and is teching everybody. And so I got a lot of work to do in that regard. But what was nice about NCAA's was that I got a chance to actually feel. There were moments, like for example in the Sorensen match, where I was thinking about just scoring, and I didn't give a crap what the score was. And that was nice. So it's good to obviously you beat yourself up about things you're not doing right, but it was nice to recognize that the progress I was making on actually just scoring more points, and then reinforce that.
You knock off the kid from Missouri. You're in the semifinals. Have you looked at the bracket at this point, or just
No? I didn't look at the bracket the whole match.
not the whole time?
I was looking forward to seeing the bracket when they gave it when they gave it out at like the podium, and then they handed a fake bracket. It didn't have any names.
Oh, for real? Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus! All right. So then you have Perry in the semifinals. You know you're on a run. Lose a tight match to him. How does it affect you mentally? I mean, it doesn't. Go ahead.
It was one of those things where, like, okay, you take that, you crumple it up, and you throw it in the trash, or at least the recycling, save it for later, and then revisit that later. But Coach Dubuque kind of summed it up perfectly when we talked right after that match. He said, "I flew too close to the sun. If you try and win easy, you lose hard." And that's what it was. 30 seconds left, I think. I'm trying to hang on to a win instead of going out there and scoring points. And I knew he had that shuck too.
Yeah.
So just a mental lapse, honestly. It was one of those things that the way I have been wrestling this season, that was bound to happen. And it was bound to happen in a match of that caliber. So it's a lesson well learned because it's a good reminder of the fact that, okay, you just want to win. You're gonna have these losses. If you want to dominate and just score points, then you can go a lot further. Nobody likes to wrestle reserved.
Right. Say that again. No one likes to what? Reserved?
Yeah, nobody likes to, wrestle, like holding back, like you're not giving your all. And nobody likes to see that wrestling, honestly. If I were watching my matches, in fact, I watched a few of them, they're not that exciting. I need more.
So did you end up getting down on yourself dropping down to the backside of the bracket, or were you
No.
just, that was it? You're still focused?
Yeah, because I recognize it as kind of like it's kind of a motif of the way I've been wrestling, and so it's not something you're going to fix overnight. But it was nice to know that I had the capacity. I knew that I had the capacity to win those matches, and so my plan was just to do that in the best way possible. And that really showed through in the Sorensen match. It was kind of like, who cares, man?
That's what I was going to ask you, because you're going in and facing this guy who's widely considered one of the best wrestlers of the last 4 years, and you had a different attitude on the match just watching. Right, like you were way more open. You were just going.
Exactly.
Was that your? I mean, were you focused on that before the match, or did you just feel it was okay to do it while you were out there?
Now, I felt it even before the match. Truth be told, I was really happy to have Sorensen because I knew he was going to wrestle me.
Yeah.
Right? So you get these kids who are going to – so, yeah, the idea is score more points, but you get these kids who really do like to hang out in the back, and they like to hit you with these little pot shots from the open tie. But Sorensen's an Iowa guy. I know he's going to tie up with me. And as soon as I knew that, like as soon as Coach told me I had Sorensen, I was like, good. Finally somebody that I can – because I grew up – at Jeff Jordan's place, working out with the grandkids. That's our wheelhouse right there. And I was glad to get back to that, except for the fact that I got some good technique under my belt too.
Yeah.
And so I can work that stuff in too.
So you're in the consolation finals. I mean, at any point, are you getting too happy during this process of the run? Like, are you getting too high? Like, are you thinking, dude, I'm putting together a hell of an NCAAs, or are you just completely focused the whole time, even through the Conci finals?
It's not even focused. It's more like, I guess this is me overanalyzing things.
Yeah.
But you get to the NCAA tournament, and the first few rounds, it's like you're warming up and you're looking around, and wow, this is NCAAs, and you're all hyped up about it, but you're also really nervous. By the end of the tournament, and this happened last year too, you're just so beat up that like you realize nobody cares and nobody's in the best shape.
Yeah.
And so like looking around, like I'm getting ready for the third place match, and I'm like, yeah, this is kind of great. Like there's no better place to be right now. I mean, obviously the finals would be nice, but I'm looking around. It's my home state. My family's there. There's a great crowd outside. I'm warming up in the tunnel, and just it was one of those nice little moments of almost like meditation, where you're just like, this is fantastic, and I get excited. I'm grateful, and then I go out there and I use that as fuel.
You win, returning All-American now. 2 times. Do you enjoy that? Like, what was the feeling when you win the match? Like, is it relief? Is it just take me through your, what happened after the match?
Of course, yeah, of course I'm enjoying it. That's so like I got off the mat, and my parents were maybe third or fourth row back, and I waved to my mom and my dad and my brother. Yeah, of course, you're riding that high. I think Flo posted. I don't even know what I yelled. I yelled something crazy. And I was just happy. I was excited, and that's the way I still feel. I'm happy to have third under my belt. But there's always that thought in the back of your head. In retrospect, I'm thinking, man, it's that I could have given it more.
Yeah.
There are wrestlers who give it their all and they don't make it far. There are wrestlers who give it their all and they do make it really far. At the end of the day, it's just a choice. I'm blessed with some pretty good God-given ability, some very supportive parents, a brother who's been through it all and is willing to share that experience with me, and a coaching staff that's just out of this world, let alone the training partners here. In being here with all of those things, and to not use that to the best of my ability is really a failure. So I realize that that's a failure on my part. But at the same time, it's not something I'm beating myself up about. It's something I'm excited to help repair in the future.
Nice. Now, we talked before we were on camera here. You made through the tournament, meat grinder, and you're feeling good. No bangs, no injuries, no nothing. Are you going to be wrestling this spring?
Yeah. I'll head out to the Open, and what is it? I think it's April 24th, so literally right around the corner here.
Yeah.
I think I'm wrestling 70 kilos.
Okay.
So that's 154. I could cut down to 143, but honestly, my grades would suffer.
Yeah.
I mean, any student athlete knows how it goes when you're cutting weight and trying to do school at the same time. It just doesn't mesh well.
Right.
So that means that I actually got to gain some weight. I just had a lift before this. Got a big old protein shake, so I'm getting ready to bulk up so that I can. I'll have to cut a little bit of weight in a few weeks.
What's your walk around weight right now?
I only weigh about 157, 58.
Okay.
It's weird. So I came in after summer at about 61, 62. and I stabilized my weight at like 55. And after that, I was just kind of cruising. I was eating a lot towards the end of the season because my body just wasn't bulking up. My body wasn't feeling like it needed to pack on the pounds. So now that I'm out of season, trying to get my body to break that habit.
Gotcha. So, a couple things. So, you're going to be wrestling at the Open. Will you take a break between now and next season?
Yeah, no, I have to. That's big. That's big because that was part of the reason I came into freshman year and then got that shoulder injury at the end of the year. Is because I got, I was just wrestling forever.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. So I'll probably take 2 or 3 weeks after, probably like right before school starts, just to relax.
And do you start mentally thinking about what your goals are for next season already, or is that going to be after the break or sometime during the summer?
It's a short list, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, you break it down. It's kind of like win an NCAA title. What do I need to do for that? Okay, I need to make sure I'm scoring more. What do I need to do to make sure I'm scoring more? And then there are about 3 or 4 technical things in there. Coach told me before my match, before my final match, he said, "I'd like to figure out your shot score ratio because it's probably up in the high 90s."
Right.
And so what does that mean? Just shoot more, right?
Exactly.
So honestly, it's like all the tools are in the toolkit.
Yeah.
And I just need to do some fine tuning. Obviously, there's always more technique you can do, but I think with what I have now, it's a matter of implementing it to the fullest potential. Instead of trying to stack on more stuff on top of that, I think I got what I need, and I just need to make it grow.
Hey, I want to thank you for the time.
Yeah.
And I'll be watching you at the Open.
Yeah, please do. All right. Thanks so much.